Molini, and welcome to yet another episode of Conversations with Lankosi. Now, this is the news commentary section where we will be offering insightful commentary and exploring various perspectives on the stories that shape our world. In today's video, we talk about Thulas Nxesi's involvement in the tricky UIF deal, despite him coming out to deny his involvement. Let's get into it. Okay, before anything, for those of you who do not know why the the UIF exists, it is a social security program that provides temporary financial relief to workers who become unemployed or are unable to work due to maternity, illness, or adoption. Its purpose is to ensure that individuals have some financial stability in times of crisis. Before I get into it, let us read an editorial published by Sunday World, an article extract published on the Times Live website, another interesting article from Sunday World, and the statement from Nxesi, followed by the statement issued by Kosato. Tuja Capital CEO Mthunzi Mdwaba has outed Employment and Labour Minister Thulas Nxesi among the three ANC ministers implicated in the 500 million rand scandal involving his company and the UIF in a 750,000 jobs deal, following the Sunday World exclusive that the three ANC ministers allegedly solicited a 10% kickback from the 5 billion rands project on Tuesday. Mdwaba told the Newsroom Africa television channel that Nxesi was implicated. Over the weekend, Sunday World reported that Mdwaba, whose company stands accused of trying to score a quick 5 billion rands from the UIF, regularly fingered three ANC cabinet ministers who allegedly, through their associates, offered to push the deal through in exchange for a 500 million rand bribe. Speaking to Sunday World, engaged this week about this widely reported job creation deal that has seen Employment and Labour Director General Thobile Lamati resign, Mdwaba said he was approached by three high-ranking government officials who solicited the bribe, claiming they were sent by the implicated ministers. In the extract from the Times Live, which obviously has nothing to do with this topic, but then again, it gives you an idea of how Ndade Thulas Nxesi operates, right? Now, over the past 10 years, there have been 10 disclaimers and adverse findings, and quite frankly, it is a situation that is totally unacceptable and speaks to a total collapse of the internal controls. Seemingly, there is no movement to respond insofar as the audit outcomes and audit action plan is obviously something that does not exist, and if it does, it's not taken seriously. The situation is just untenable, said Hlengwa. It was at that time when I think he's the chair. Yeah. So as the chair, he was addressing something that just did not make sense. And Thulas Nxesi was the labor minister at the time, so obviously, Pela guys, the message was to him. Moving on, ANC MP Bheki Hadebe grilled the labor minister Thulas Nxesi, saying heads must roll. The situation is rotten to the core, and that it is the best description to the current status quo of the find. I think it is high time that we put our foot down and take drastic measures and decisions to change status quo. Nxesi admitted that the state of the fund left much to be desired. I agree that the fund is rotten to the core. It cannot continue to have disclaimer after disclaimer. To answer your questions as to why this is so, is it neglect? Is it corruption? Is it structural issues? I think it is a combination of issues. As he said that there were basic controls the department needed to put in place that had been neglected. He ordered a full forensic audit to be conducted. I won't definitely say it was corruption, but I suspect corruption. The forensic audit will be able to help us with that and answer why certain things are not being followed up on. What is clear is that some of the problems are structural. We must investigate why some of the issues are persisting. Hadebe fired back at Nxesi saying, you don't need to waste money instituting a forensic audit for basic controls. Who are the people responsible for record keeping? Who has been responsible for instituting consequence management? And why did he or she not play his or her part? What has been done? As he responded by saying, what is clear is that I don't think the current crop of employees are up to task, and that is a matter which we will follow up on immediately. Before I even comment or continue going further, I don't know if you guys are seeing, Jorge, there's also an element of arrogance when it comes to the way the minister engages with people in parliament that are questioning certain irregularities, or mismanagement that goes on in his department. Now, for a minister to come back and say, he doesn't believe that these people are fit enough to hold office, but they're in the same department that he is the head of. Sana. You know what? Moving on, this is our last article from Sunday World. Again, let me just get into it. What ethical justification was there in the first place for the Department of Employment and Labor and the UIF to even contemplate investing 5 billion rand of taxpayers' money in one of its department's contractors? The CEO of Thulas Capital Fund, Mthunzi Mntwaba, alleged Minister Thulas Nxesi and other ministers attempted through officials working for ministers to solicit a 10% kickback of the irregular 5 billion rand deal. Now, Nxesi, as the ultimate head of the department, must spend time and probably a lot of taxpayers' money trying to exonerate himself. He must now prove his innocence in this botched transaction in which he is alleged to have, with other ministers, solicited a 500 million rand bribe or a 10% cut of the 5 billion rand located in his department, the UIF. In return, through Thulas Capital Fund, 750,000 jobs would have been created. These allegations are serious. They also implicate Finance Minister Utatu Enoch Godongwana and Minister Blade Nzimande. Nxesi denies the allegations, describing them as false and defamatory, adding that there was no way 5 billion rand would have been released to Mdaba's entity for the creation of the said jobs. A probe must be launched into the matter, which we should add has all the traits of a corrupt deal. What about the president? How might he react to these allegations? Can he afford not to crack the whip? The president cannot and must not remain silent. He promised a clean government. Show us. Heads must roll. And this is the feeling. Because again, you can come out and say it is not so, but it is scary to think that such a deal was even considered to begin with. I'd love to comment about Prof. Mthunzi Mntwaba, but I feel like I'll do that separately and just not include it here because Appa Sitot and go to Thulas Mntwaba but it's scary, guys. Hey, guys, it's scary. 5 billion rand of the taxpayers' money. Let us get into the statement that was issued by COSATU. The Congress of South African Trade Unions urges the President Cyril Ramaphosa to urgently release and act on the forensic audit into the UIF and irregular attempts to pickpocket 5 billion rand of workers' monies from the UIF to Thulas Capital. The Federation, like all other sober persons, was shocked earlier this year by the underhanded attempts to siphon 5 billion of workers' hard-earned funds from the UIF to a seemingly get-rich scheme by Thulas Capital. We welcome the Minister for Employment and Labour, Thulas, appointing a forensic audit into the shameful failed deal. It is critical this report now be released to the public and that its recommendations on action be taken against persons found wanting inside and outside the state be affected. It is not enough for alleged corrupt or illegal activities to be stopped. Those who are accused need to the full legal consequences for their actions. We cannot expect to change an endemic culture of corruption and criminality if we are to continue to treat those found wanting with kid gloves. COSATU welcomes commitments by the Minister to overhaul the Unemployment Insurance Fund to ensure that the workers can apply for with ease and receive their monies timelessly, that workers and employers' contributions are safely invested and used to protect workers when they have lost their jobs or wages, are on maternity or paternal or adoption leave, and that these funds are invested in legitimate investments that create jobs and benefit workers and are not used to line the pockets of immoral individuals. This long overdue modernization and cleansing of the UIF needs to begin as a matter of urgency. Expert assistance from the South African Revenue Service and the Government Technical Advisory Center needs to be roped in to help ensure that the UIF is rebuilt, ready to serve workers, efficient and transparent, and protected from the cancer of corruption. The days of allowing a corrupt elite to feast at the expense of workers needs to come to an end. Issued by COSATU. Now, Nxesi did publish this statement on their website. Let me just get into it without wasting any more time. Right. If Ramaphosa is at all committed to this renewal he has been touting since his ascension to the presidency, he must do the right thing and fire Thulas Nxesi at once and suspend the other two alleged conspirators pending the outcome of a further probe into their involvement. Section 2 of the Special Investigation Units and Special Tribunals Act empowers the president to proclaim and gazette an investigation of this nature, and he ought to do so without further delay. Tuja Capital CEO Mthunzi Mntwaba revealed that officials acting on behalf of 3 cabinet ministers attempted to secure a 10% kickback from that 5 billion rand deal, which involved the UIF and the Tuja 750,000 job scheme. The resignation of the Director General in the Department of Employment and Labour, Thobile Lamati, in the wake of the revelation of the questionable billion rand job scheme, underscores the shadow caused by the scandal. The allegations against Minister Thulas Nxesi follow a series of revelations that reasonably reduce the scheme to nothing more than an elaborate attempt to defraud the South African taxpayer. This is both deeply concerning and disgraceful, especially when considering the crucial importance of job creation, given that South Africa's unemployment rate stands at over 32%. This latest allegation serves yet another glaring example of the deep-seated corruption that has permeated through the state, with senior ministers and officials entangled in this corruption, a fact underscored by the Zondo State Capture Commission report. Given the gravity of the allegations, Action SA demands that President Cyril Ramaphosa, as the head of the executive, leave no stone unturned in investigating the allegations made against members of his cabinet. Moving on, Thulas Nxesi is an influential figure in South African politics. Nxesi was Minister of Sports and Recreation of the Republic of South Africa from the 31st of March 2017 until 26 February 2018. He then became the Minister of Public Works from the 27th of February 2018 to the 25th of May 2019. And on the 30th of May in the year 2019, Mr. Thulas Nxesi was appointed as Minister of Employment and Labour. This man has been responsible for various facets of labor policy and law enforcement. However, ever since his appointment, allegations of corruption, nepotism, and abuse of power have been rife. if Prof. Mthunzi Mdwaba, the CEO of Future Capital, can come out and talk about this deal that went wrong due to certain agreements not being made because the ministers implicated in the scandal and the SG of the ANC through their intermediaries devised a plan according to the Prof to spin this and pin it all on his company, then we are definitely in trouble because he himself has made it clear that he only has come out now because he is defending the integrity of his company that is now being paraded as a dodgy deal chasing company that was after the 5 billion rand, which leaves me with a number of questions, guys, because again, was he planning on spilling the tea initially? If his company wasn't thrown under the bus, was he ever going to talk? What could have led to the move to single out his company, Gagate? And why did the DG leave shortly after the tea was spilled? And now that we there's obviously reports about the minister coming out to debunk these allegations, it becomes difficult for us to believe him again because, again, their private WhatsApp conversations were leaked by the prof so that he can add more weight on his allegations against the minister, because he didn't want it to seem as if it's a baseless allegation, so as to make us understand that, no, I actually have this relationship with Minister Thulas Nxesi. Here is the proof. And based on what we're seeing on those WhatsApps, I must say, the minister is smart. But then again, he seems to be a person, otanda favor. He likes favors. And it becomes very problematic again, because again, how are we to take his word for it, So I think I agree with the organizations that are calling for an investigation to be launched so that they can actually look into this. And if Kosatu is right, statement Sabo saying that, guys, an investigation was already conducted ngela xesha, because the minister came out to say, yay, hold it, everybody, hold it. You understand? Then can we at least be afforded the opportunity to see what they came out with, what were the results, what was the conclusion? Yeah, what conclusion did they reach based on the investigation that was conducted? You can actually come out and debunk something, but it's something else when you come out and say, no, when we found out about it, an investigation was launched and whatsoever and everything else that went to it. And then, you're just out here like, because again, this scandal, the tricky UIF scandal, is scary. It's alarming, guys. You cannot be playing around with the taxpayers' money, and in one of his interviews, I think Prof. Mthunzi did say, Hore, when they looked at the UIF and how it's going to be bankrupt in future, then we might not have money. So this was like a smaller plan, a game changer that was going to ensure that we have more money. I think he said 10 years or whatsoever in his own words from now. Because you know how business people speak, ne? And but like I said, let me not comment about the prof. I must talk about him separate, but I cannot not comment because he was so sure about what he was saying. And it's scary. It is scary. And I think outside the people that were actually implicated in the scandal, right? In that, it was only SG of the ANC that just decided to go to the police station and open a case against this businessman. The rest are just out there like, nothing new. This is, once the small waters, that one. And that's scary for me. Because again, does this then mean that the new dawn is going to be selective with how they deal with corruption? Hey guys, also, will the step aside rule be applied to Thulas Nxesi, who happens to be a senior member of the ANC and the Minister of Employment and Labour? I mean, he is no stranger to bad press. Nxesi has been facing a storm of accusations. Some claim that he has abused his power, while others argue that he has been involved in corruption and that this is nothing new. Or has the step aside rule been archived until a non-fave is singled out? Now let's get into his response to the allegations, right? The Star reported that the Department of Employment and Labour, Minister Thulas Nxesi, dismissed claims that he was one of the 3 ministers who solicited a bribe of 500 million rand. This after a Sunday World report fingered Nxesi as being one of the 3 ministers who solicited a bribe from the CEO of Tuja Capital, Mthunzi Mdwaba, in connection with an unemployed insurance fund job scheme. Mdwaba alleged that Finance Minister Enoch sent 3 ministers to get the money, which is part of a failed 5 billion rand contract. However, the minister, through his spokesperson, Sabelo Mali, said that these reports were not true. We are aware of the new claims attributable to Mdwaba in the Sunday World and reject with contempt as false and without foundation. The allegations are completely unsupported by facts or any piece of evidence, Mali said. Now, having to turn a blind eye on these allegations leveled against him only paves way for the eruption of chaos and a continuation of corruption by individuals who were tasked with the duty of ensuring that the departments they are in charge of deliver instead of sinking. As mentioned by Action SA, the resignation of the DG shortly after the prof began to spill is an eyebrow raiser. With that being said, it is important to consider the limitations of allegations without concrete evidence. As a public figure, Nxesi may face increased scrutiny leading to baseless speculation. It would be wise to rely on reliable sources and official investigations before drawing conclusions. But then again, one cannot not question whether it may be true or not, especially when corruption under the New Dawn hasn't really been dealt with. I mean, this isn't Nxesi's first scandal, and this is why we cannot afford to tiptoe around it. But then again, he has dismissed these allegations and has come out to deny Prof. Mdwaba's claims. I would not be surprised if he were to assert that the allegations are politically motivated and designed to tarnish his image. The scandal highlighted deep-rooted corruption within the government, eroding public trust and calling into question the effectiveness of oversight mechanisms. The aftermath of the scandal has not only led to the questioning of mismanaged funds, but also about the very fabric of South Africa's governance. As concerned citizens, it is our duty to discern the truth amidst the chaos. Holding our elected officials accountable ensures that a transparent and robust democracy thrives. Now, that is no secret, Bachana. The importance of impartial investigations should not be understated, as they contribute to a fair and just society, and we will definitely question things should there be no movement or investigation launched so as to look into how and why the deal came about in the first place. That concludes today's video. Remember, the goal is not just to inform, but to inspire critical thinking and foster a diverse exchange of ideas. I appreciate the time you've spent with me today and look forward to bringing you more engaging content in future episodes. As always, be sure to follow us, Conversations with Lankosi, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and also our YouTube channel, Chonga. You subscribe, you follow or you subscribe, light the notification bell so that you do not miss out on any new episodes, right? And then please do visit our website, Lankosi Writes, and share your thoughts and feedback. Nxesi for listening to the Conversations with Lankosi podcast. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay empowered.